Several months ago, I did a review on a Avatar: The Last Airbender episode called Avatar Day, and I went into great detail about why I hate that episode with a passion. Now I'm going to review an episode that is generally considered the worst of the Avatar: The Last Airbender series, not the entire franchise, I don't think, but the series of Avatar: The Last Airbender, called The Great Divide. And I get why people hate the ending, but I don't think they should hate the episode as a whole. Now, jumping right into it, it starts out with Katara and Sokka arguing about they need to use a tarp, like how they're gonna use a tarp, like are they gonna use it to protect themselves in case it rains, or are they gonna use it as a blanket? And Sokka, who is more loose in terms of character when it comes to stuff like this, says, no, but let's use it as a blanket. It keeps us warmer. And she's more strict with her character. She's like, no. Like, we shouldn't, it's better safe than sorry. We should use the tarp as it's intended to keep rain from coming down onto the tent. And this causes a argument between them, and Aang steps in and he plays peacekeeper, and he ends the argument right there, at least for the time being. But then eventually they meet two different tribes of people who are basically another Sokka and Katara just in tribe form. And I just want to point this out real fast because I just love this. But if you listen to the voice of the first member of the very Katara-like tribe, I can't remember what they're called, but you know, they're the ones who are wearing clean white clothing. The first guy we meet from that tribe has the same voice as Robin from Teen Titans, the original Teen Titans that most people enjoyed. And I just love that. I thought that was a fun little cameo from him. But moving on, then we meet the second tribe, and they have more of a Sokka lifestyle, and it turns out the two tribes really hate each other, and they try to convince the tour guide, or the guy who's going to escort them through the great divide. It's kind of like the Grand Canyon of the Avatar universe. They are arguing with each other, and to the Great Divide escort, that they should take these guys first, or they should take them first. And then like these guys are like, oh, but we have old people who have trouble walking. And then these guys are like, we have sick people who have trouble walking as well. And then these guys are like, well, maybe if you guys took better care of yourself, you wouldn't have so many sick people who can't walk. Well, maybe if you guys didn't take care of yourselves like that, you wouldn't have so many old people to have trouble walking as well. And, I mean, okay, for that one, I gotta go with these guys, but still. That's not the point. The point is, Aang, being the Avatar, decides that he's gonna play peacekeeper with these guys, and he convinces the escort to take them all through the Great Divide, because this one escort, he's the only Earthbender around. Which, that actually makes sense, because all the other Earthbenders are either fighting the war with the Fire Nation, or they have been imprisoned, and like we already saw that is in fact a reality for the Earth Kingdom, at least the more rural parts of the Earth Kingdom, because in episode 6, rightfully titled Imprisoned, we saw that the Fire Nation was arresting as many Earthbenders as they could and locking them away into middle structures. So it makes sense that there was only this one tour guide to guide them through the Great Divide. Now, the team has to split up into 3 groups. You have Sokka, who goes with the tribe who's not as cautious or clean, and then you have Katara, who goes with the tribe that is, and then you have Aang, who stays with Appa and Momo, and we see his conflict where he doesn't really know how he's going to keep the two tribes from killing each other, which eventually, of course, they actually try to. Like, they get the whole team, the whole group of people, they get stuck in the Great Divide because these spider-like creatures attack, and the escort gets injured in the process, so he is unable to oathbend them the rest of the way. And what worse is, apparently no one has food, but in actuality, everyone brought food because the clean, we'll just call them the clean tribe, they brought food because they knew that the Dodi tribe was gonna smuggle food in as well. So how is it fair that their tribe eats when their tribe doesn't? And then on the other hand, the Dodi tribe, they're like, well, we know the clean tribe is going to think that we smuggled food, and so they smuggled food in because of that. So we smuggled in food because we knew they would smuggle in food, and then, it's just like, it just keeps getting intertwined with everything. So, okay, I can see if people just like, okay, can we just fast forward to the point? But then we get to the part where the tribes actually do try to kill each other. Like, both leaders of the tribes take out their weapons and they're getting ready to kill each other. And then they actually come to blows, and Aang has to stop them. And that's when he discovers they all smuggled food in. And, they could have gone a serious route with this, and they could have had Aang just keep yelling at them and trying to get them to stop and try to convince them diplomatically to stop. But no, in typical, at least Season 1 Avatar The Last Airbender fashion, Aang he spots one of his favorite foods on the ground, and he succumbs to his hunger, and it distracts him. Like, the whole situation is distracting everyone until they see that more of those spider creatures that attacked earlier are coming to get them because they can smell the food. And so this forces both tribes to work together, at least momentarily, and they get back up, or they manage to deceive the spider creatures into helping them by using the food. So apparently it was a blessing in disguise that they did in fact smuggle food in, but then again you can also argue that if they hadn't smuggled food in, then the escort would have never gotten injured. But whatever the case, they get out of the Great Divide, and both tribes are like, you did something useful. You helped us. We helped each other. Maybe we could achieve peace between our tribes. And then they go immediately back to wanting to kill each other, because the history of the tribes is like this guy from the Clean tribe, he had to deliver a sacred artifact to this sacred place, and apparently a guy from the Dodi tribe attacked him and stole the sacred artifact. But then the Dodi side of the story is that their guy, he came across the Clean tribe's guy who was like practically dying on the floor in the woods, on the ground in the woods, and the Clean guy, he's like, please, I need you to take this sacred artifact of my people to the sacred place. And so the Dodi guy picked up the artifact and he ran all the way and he tried to deliver it, but that's when the Clean tribe thought he stole it, and they attacked him and arrested him. Now this does kind of bring up the second stupid thing in this episode, is that why did the Clean tribe think that the Dodi guy was stealing their sacred artifact and ambushed their own guy, and then he would just intentionally bring the artifact to their tribe? What would he have to gain from that? What would he have to gain from being accused of stealing an orb and getting arrested in the process? So if I were to believe anyone in this story, I would go with the Dodi tribe, because it makes no sense what the Clean tribe is trying to point out. But second ill set aside, eventually Aang steps in and he does a controversial move. At least that's what I've heard from other members of the fan base. And he comes up with a story, and he comes up with it quick. And he says, hey, wait a minute, guys. I actually knew both of you guys. And I was around during that time. I actually saw what happened. And then, like, you get a chibi little a shot where it shows both guys playing, like, some kind of soccer game. And it's kind of stupid. But eventually, Aang convinces both tribes that it was all a big misunderstanding and that they should be friends. And both tribes like, okay, well, if that's how the story actually went, then, and you're the Avatar, why would you lie to us? Then okay, we believe you. We'll be friends now. But then it turns out that Aang lied about it. Like, he tells Sokka and Katara that he lied, and Sokka and Katara are like, you did not, you bad boy. And he's just like, Aang's acting all high and mighty. He's like, oh yes, I went there. And then the episode ends. And the thing is, all the fan base is like, wait. So the moral of the story is that Aang lied? Like, Aang lied to solve a problem. So the moral of the story is, if you have a problem, just lie about it. And I don't think that's the moral to the story or episode at all. I think the moral of the story is to show just how far people will go who are at odds with each other, and just how far some other people, some of the good people, actually have to go just to keep them from literally killing each other. Because the two tribes, they actually did try to kill each other in the episode, and Aang had to step in. And even when it seemed like the two tribes were done fighting, they still got at each other's throats and were on the verge of killing each other. So Aang had already tried everything to try and get them to come to peace, and they still weren't listening. So at that point, the only other avenue Aang could think of at the time was he had to come up with a lie that would satisfy both parties. And so the moral of the story is that nothing is more important than human life, even if you have to break a moral to keep people from dying. That's what I believe the moral of the episode The Great Divide is. These people, they forgot the fact that a human life is more important than a petty argument. And Aang realized the only way to stop it was to lie. And so he did what he had to. Otherwise, he would have had to attack both sides to get them to stop. And that's not really the right way. That's basically he would have been using Phil had he gone all Avatar state and attacked both tribes and get them to back off. That wasn't the right way. Aang saw a peaceful solution, and he took it, and it worked out in the end, even if it may have not been it was not what people consider a morally good solution. But overall, The Great Divide, it's not the greatest episode. It's not even close to being the greatest episode, but I wouldn't say it's the worst. Like, there are a few episodes, especially like filler episodes, though episodes that seem like filler, that I did not really care for. Like, of course, there was the Avatar Day. I hate that. And then you have another one in season 2. It was like Tales of Bossing Say. And like all of the tales that were told were just completely insignificant. Like, you can just throw that stuff away. You can skip past it and not think anything of it. It doesn't affect the overall series. The Great Divide, however, does, because it shows that Aang is the Avatar, but he's also human. And he's not just the bridge between the spirit world and the material world and the Avatar universe. He's the bridge between the world and the Avatar universe and our world. And so he's showing that he's human in this episode. He makes mistakes. He's not always going to have all the right answers, and sometimes we have to bend the rules a little bit in order to keep some of the more important rules from being broken. And so I would say the Great Divide it's in the gray area for the most part. It's an okay episode. Do people kind of blow it out of proportion? I would say yes. There was a couple of stupid things that I think people hold on to about it too much, and they don't see the overall picture of the episode. But at the same time, I can see why it's not considered one of the best, or even in the discussion for it. Overall, I'd say maybe if I was rating these episodes out of 10, it would be maybe 6.5 or maybe a 6 even. It is nowhere near like the likes of Avatar Day, because I give that episode I'm like, this episode's kind of like a 1 for Avatar Day, but Great Divide, it actually tried to tell us a good story, and it actually had some deep, meaningful conversations and topics, and it tried to really teach kids and the audience members a hard lesson. And did it come through? Not really, because of how the fans reacted to it, but at the same time, A for effort. So yes, 6.5 for at least for The Great Divide, and hopefully this will get people to reevaluate the episode, rewatch the episode themselves, and try to see it in a more positive light.